We are talking about our careers, often as callings. We are talking about how we are evolving our leadership. And we're going to have some experts here that are going to exemplify that, going to ask questions and make all of us reflect on topics such as authenticity, branding, and also real-life entrepreneurs and people who've been involved in politics. So it's going to be quite an exciting time. And also, you follow up some of this questioning in the Discovery Journal. It's on page 23, 24, where there's some of the same questions that we have also given to many of the speakers. So I would like to start today by asking Roxanne Derhodge to come up. Roxanne, are you here? Good. She is the CEO of her consulting company, Roxanne Derhodge Consulting. And she told me before here, she's a psychotherapist, she's a consultant, she's a speaker, she does many things. And she has a lot of experience working with corporate institutions of various kinds. She told me that her journey really of her life work on authenticity started one day when she was walking on the street and a complete stranger knocked her down. After which she started a deep reflection and her life work really began. And we want to hear more about that. So Roxanne, please come up on stage, and we give her a warm applause. Thank you, Roxanne.
So I'm in love with Rome. It's my first time. So it was 2009, November 11th. The reason I remember that date, it was my father-in-law's birthday. He passed away a couple years before. Now, November in Toronto, awfully cold. This day, not so much. Beautiful. My best black silk suit, sauntering down the street. I walked past a young man. He's about 6'2", I believe. I think. That's what I can remember. Where I was completely knocked out by this stranger. And I know what you're thinking. Did she know what was going on there? I did not know this young man. I fell to the ground, and apparently I was knocked out, cold. Laying on my back, I opened my eyes, and it was beautiful, like I said. Reminded me of the blue sky from Trinidad and Tobago, where I grew up. And then another young man, not the same young man that had knocked me out, jumped out of a car, took off his jacket, and he rolled it up and put it under my head. And he said to me, and this will still send a chill down my spine. He said, everything is going to be okay. Laying on my back, looking at his pool blue eyes, it was like eyes of an angel. I thought, I'm an imposter. I've been living a life. Young, educated, privileged, 25-year marriage, and a beautiful 8-year-old son. But in that space, I realized I was living 2 lives. And I'm here to tell you, as I laid on my back that day, with massive things going around me, I decided no longer. I've created changes. 12 years ago today is when I started my business. And I'm here to tell you that awareness starts with us. We're the first go-to. So I started that day, and I started to make some changes. As a woman, someone that was not listening, but that was helping others. And as we know, as women in the world, from what we've experienced in the last 2 years, we disconnect, we tend, we take care of, but we also burn out. So I'd like you to kind of look at some of the stats. These are things that you probably already know. 54 million women have been out of the workforce. A lot of us are burnt out. 1 in 2, I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm here to say to you that connection starts from a very, very early time. We learn, unfortunately, to disconnect on a deep, profound level. So, starting today, I'm going to ask you something. When is the last time, other than the people that was just in my workshop, did you connect internally to yourself? When was the last time you reflected and sat within your body to understand really what's going on? Because this is the gift that was given to us. Awareness starts at the first level, and when we go inside, we start to recognize that there's a state that all of us can get into. And in that state, we are the true, authentic person that we were meant to be beginning into the world. So I'd like you to think about, how is it, if I'm unaware, am I connecting to others? So in this moment, what I'd like you to do is to think of something in your life that will bring you back time and time again. I'd like you to pretend, I call it a sensory suitcase. So, if you want to stand up for me. And if you have your balance, I'd like you to close your eyes and ground yourself, starting from the top of your head all the way to your toes. And in this sensory suitcase, you're going to put some things. First of all, I want you to bring up pictures in your mind's eye of all the people that mean the most to you. Tuck them in there. Look at their smiles. Look how they dress. Feel how they make you feel in your body. Next, I'd like you to put yourself in a space of the most beautiful place that you've been. Maybe it's a beach. Maybe it's the mountains. Now burn that into your mind's eye. Now in your body, I want you to locate the space that this feels the most comforting or exhilarating for you. If it's a color, that feeling in your body, make it brighter. Spend some time. And for a moment, what I'd like you to do is to give that place a cue word. Butterfly, buttercup, beach, peace, whatever works for you. I'm going to count backwards from 5, all the way to 1, and then I invite you to bring your consciousness back into the room. Thank you. So now, what I would like you to do is to think of 3 alarms that you're going to put on your phone. Not that we're promoting cell phones, but I'd like you to think of a favorite piece of music, be it classical, be it calypso, like that's my favorite, your most favorite song that either makes you want to dance, makes you want to sing at the top of your lungs, and I'd like you to download, after this event, the 3 most favorite songs that you have. Okay. The alarm's going to be 1 cue, but on the desktop of your phone, you're going to download 3 of the most favorite songs that you've ever heard in your life. I don't know if you're an 80s baby like me, but I can think of a lot of 80s music I would download. And you're going to make a file on your desktop of your phone. Okay? Next, you're going to take 3 or 4 of your most favorite pictures. Right? I can think of some ones that I've taken since I've been here in Rome that I'm going to add to that list. You're going to add that to that same file. I'm electronically impaired, but I'm sure there's people that could help you out with that. And what you're going to do when those alarms go off at 11, 1, and 3, you're going to play a song. And you're going to cycle through the pictures every time that alarm goes off. Because you're going to remind the brain that regardless of where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with, and what you're dealing with, who and what is important is always with you. What happens to us is that we could get to a space as very driven people, which most of the people that I've met since we've been in Rome, and we forget the essence of why we're doing what we're doing. So with the element of connection, what you're doing is you're no longer depleting as you go through your day. 3 times at least, even if it's going to take you a couple minutes, you are going to replenish. You can sit if you'd like. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what happened, because I'm sure you're curious about that story that I started with. So I was laying on my back, and I had to make one phone call, and that was the who in my world. I made a phone call to my little boy through his father to say, there's a crazy man somewhere in Toronto that has struck Mummy in the mouth, and she has lips that look like Angelina Jolie. If I had Botox, I won't be at practice today. Next, I had to be taken to the hospital, unfortunately. My teeth had to be realigned. I had cluster headaches where I barely could coach for more than an hour and a half at a time. So that's when you kind of have those moments when you say, why am I doing what I'm doing? So I'd had a corporate job that was not going so well. So I had the conversation. I don't know if how many of you have had those. And the outcome wasn't so good for me. So I left that corporate job. And last but not least, I did one more thing. I ended my 25-year marriage. So here I am. I'm keeping this situation together because my little boy, who is my person, at that time 8, I wanted him to have an intact family. Right? We don't want to get divorced when we say I do. So I said, hey, RJ, Mommy has something to tell you. And I told him the news, and he said, and this is when it struck me that I was doing it all wrong. He said, Mommy, I listen to your loud voices and hear you being sad at night. It's okay. That was the day I woke up, and the imposter syndrome that we hear about so much ended for me. So I'm going to challenge you today. You don't have to get knocked over quite literally like I did, but life can tap you. It could be a separation. It could be a disease. It could be a bad boss. I challenge you, instead of being knocked over by those things, to ask yourself, how am I being authentically connected to myself? And what is my leadership story going to be? Thanks for your time.
Just ask you one question.
Okay, sure.
You know, I was wondering about one thing, because many people, you said you were knocked down, and other people told me they got very sick, and something altered their course, and we've been talking about this. But what can we do? What's an advice you have to start doing this before something bad happened to you, so to speak? Just one little note.
Well, I think the main thing is checking in with yourself on
Yeah.
a routine basis. Your body holds all emotions, and I think for anybody that was in the workshop, we talked a lot about that. So the mind keeps thoughts, or it harnesses our thoughts, but our body gives us all the emotions to get into some practice where you learn how to listen to your body on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll follow your photos, the music, and the alarm clock on
Okay.
your telephone. Thank you. And your book is in the bookstore, right?
If anybody wants a copy, it's at the book.
Yeah, we can do it later. Full plus.